Hello and happy Tuesday. Um, Today I thought I'd do a quick video because I'm not entirely sure I could write what I want to write and have it make sense. And I'm not even entirely convinced I can do it on video. But I'm going to try to make this as simple as I can. I had a realization while I was part of a live webinar today. And the person who was hosting the webinar said um, something that I kind of knew, but I hadn't really seen it. I hadn't gotten it at as deep a level as I thought I did. Let's put it that way. And what she was sharing was that it's really easy for humans to get at an intellectual level that they are creating their moment to moment experience through thought. It can be done. It's not easy, but it's simple. And if you've been around the principles for any length of time, if you've been around me, then you know that these principles of mind, thought, and consciousness, as articulated by Sydney Banks, point to how life works, how our lives work, how every experience we have is created through these three elements, even when it looks like it's coming from somewhere else. But what happens with people as they learn the principles, and it happens with me too, still, it's only been 5 years for me, so it's not like I've been doing this for a really long time, but it's really easy to have moments where we can say, I know it's just thought, but there's always a but after that. I know this, I know I'm overthinking, but I can't help it. I know I'm creating anxiety, but I don't know how to stop it. Or I know that I'm getting really worried and about XYZ, and I know worry is just thought, but I can't help it. Or I know that my habit, whatever, if you have a habit of some kind, I know my habit is basically made of thought, and yet I can't stop doing the habit. Well, what I realized today from what the host was sharing was that a truly deep insight, the the, the how do I want to say this? The proof of a truly deep insight is that behavior changes, actions change, lives change. Sometimes big, sometimes in little ways, but there is a change, there is a shift. And not in the way that we try to make it happen or we work at it, but in the way that at some point, whatever we're doing, however we're behaving, however we're living our life, just stops making sense. Even if we're not consciously aware that the change took place. Sometimes we could just wake up one day and go, oh, look at that. I don't bite my fingernails anymore. And have zero idea of where that shift came from. So what I got out of that today, and I've said these words a million times, and I kind of have seen it at a certain level, but I took a trip down on at least another level today, and I realized, oh, when I'm talking to somebody and they say to me, yeah, I know it's just my thinking, I know I'm creating this, but the next question out of my mouth should be, or maybe should is the wrong word. The next question out of my mouth might be, I might consider asking, well, if you see this, how has your life changed? How has your behavior changed? How have the actions that you normally take change? And if the answer is they haven't, then that's just proof to me that there's more to see. It's not that anybody's doing anything wrong. It just means that there's something else that they really need to see for themselves. Because of what she said, and I've heard this before, but it struck me in a totally different way. She said, if humans really see thought, really see it, then they shift. It's really easy to say, yeah, I know I'm creating this anxiety because I'm overthinking, but how do I stop overthinking? Or how do I make my brain stop? I don't know how to make my brain stop. I don't know how to make my brain stop, or I can't do it. And what I find, particularly with anxiety, because it's, what I'm saying right now, is if people spend enough time with me, and enough is a moving target, because for some people it could be 2 sessions, for some people it could be a few months. But if people spend enough time looking in the direction of the principles, and again, it's not just me, it's looking in the direction of the principles, and they really see something at a deep level, then everything in their life, then that thing in their lives, the anxiety just shifts. There's no more asking, well, how do I stop? Or there's no more saying, I can't stop. It's going to be like, oh, that's just not happening anymore. Or it does happen, but it doesn't bother me anymore. I had a client just popped into my head. He was an older gentleman, probably in his mid 70s, early 80s. And he was suffering with anxiety. And I literally had one conversation with him. And I explained to him how the principles work. And he looked at me and he said, young lady, you just told me exactly what I always thought was true. And like that was it for him. We got together a couple more times. But like he's good. Doesn't mean he doesn't experience anxiety anymore, but he does not get wrapped up in it anymore. He doesn't get lost in it. He doesn't wind up in the hospital with panic attacks because he just saw it. He saw it. Anyway, I just think that's very cool and something to just be aware of. Understanding the principles in the beginning is going to be an intellectual understanding. It could be a struggle, and that's okay. Humans need to practice, right? Like we need to just play with it and practice it and see if it's true and see what happens when we see it, and all of those things. And at some point, if we're lucky, if we are, as Joe Bailey, who's a three principles teacher, says, if we're on at the bus stop for insight, if we know what we're looking for, if we know the feeling of insight, then chances are pretty good it'll happen. And the cool thing is, sometimes the insight that comes or the change in behavior that comes has nothing to do with what you're even talking to somebody about. Just something else shifts. You could be talking, like we could be having a coaching conversation about anxiety, and then you could come into my office one day and say, you know what? I realized that I don't know, pick at my fingernails anymore. Like that wasn't even what we talked about, but you had an insight and you stopped. And that is cool. Anyway, I just wanted to share that because I think it's very easy for most of us to do the whole, I know I'm making up my experience. I know it's just thought, but I can't help it. I can't stop it. Tell me how to stop it. And if that's the case, then I'm just going to invite you to consider that you just have something, there's just more for you to see. There's something deeper for you to see. And you can't make it happen, but you can be aware if that's what you're looking for. And you'll know that it's happened when your behavior, your actions, and the way you live your life changes. And that is the cool part. That was the bit that made me go, oh, I never really thought of it that way. So that was my insight for today. All right. Although, actually, today is Monday, so you're actually going to see this on Tuesday, but you get the point. All right. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye bye.